Nathan D here with NetworkNitroPad.com, and we're going to show you a quick tutorial on tips and tricks you can apply today in your home and explain what the Network Nitro Pad is and how it works. Now 10 years ago, wireless routers were much less common. If people had them, there was maybe a laptop or one desktop computer running on it, nothing more. Today, however, average home has about 9 devices: smartphones, tablets, remote security systems, laptops, wireless gaming, smart printers. So these devices are only as good as the Wi-Fi network that they're linked to. So we're going to explain in a little bit of geeky tech talk here just how your home Wi-Fi works, and then we're going to get into some really cool stuff with the tips and tricks that you can do. A cable company or phone company takes the internet signal and they simply convert it through the router to a radio signal. In an omnidirectional pattern, it broadcasts from a rubber ducky antenna in all directions, with the strongest signal and the fastest signal being nearest the router. Now the external antennas are called Marconi antennas. They're quarter wave omnidirectional antennas that broadcast in a circle, but they've converted to an internal antenna called an IFA, an inverted F antenna. But it actually has a radiation pattern the same as a Marconi antenna. So a little bit of antenna theory here will help you understand what the Network Nitro Pad does and how the tips and tricks work and why they work. A quarter wave antenna requires what's called ground plane, or the engineers call it counterpoise, to make the antenna appear or function like a larger antenna. It balances and tunes the antenna. Now for the older series routers, the 2.4 series, that would be 802.11a, b, and g series, they broadcast at 2.4 megahertz. So that quarter wave antenna requires a 5-inch conductive layer, or at least one wavelength, which is 5 inches. Now the newer N series and AC series are 5 gigs, and they broadcast and need a ground plane of about 2.5 inches. Now this isn't feasible with how small a router is. You can see that the width of a router, especially if it's vertically mounted, is about 1.5 inches. So the engineers do the next best thing. They create a resonator circuit that simulates ground plane, but they only work about 80% efficient in the best of open air tests. So your antenna is losing signal before it even leaves the antenna. So what the Network Nitro Pad does is it creates a conductive layer right under the antenna that acts like a capacitor and offers ground plane, allowing your antenna to operate at maximum efficiency. This helps not only transmit, but receive. So anywhere you have an antenna, your wireless router, your wireless gaming device, or a cell phone base, all have ground plane need underneath the antenna. Now it isn't feasible with a tablet or a phone or some device you're carrying around with you. But these stationary devices, it's important that they have ground plane. The Network Nitro Pad is an ingenious invention. It has a conductive layer large enough to offer ground plane for 2.4 gigahertz routers, the A, B, and G series routers, but also will help the N series, which operate at a higher frequency and a smaller wave. Simply placed underneath your device, it improves transmit and receive. Just that simple. But first, before we do that, we have to go through the tips and tricks and get your location set up, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss the Network Nitro Pad more in just a few seconds.